In this session, we're going to talk about a new option for DAC. That is the Retailer Installment Payment Plan option. It's a low-cost, one-time charge that carries no maintenance fee with it for setup. Let's show you how that works and some basic setup things along the way. It is also tied in and works in conjunction with DAC Equipment Manager, but it can operate as a standalone feature by itself. Here we go. So I'm going to take option 10 for other functions. I'm going to take option 19 and I'm going to get to the equipment menu, and here's the new option, works with installment plans. So there's a couple of setup things that we want to keep in mind here. First of all, you need an item that's set up to represent the charge for the installment billings as they go through. So let's jump over to the item file. And it's going to be a typical charge type of item. I have one set up here. We'll just look at it. So you want to classify it in a category in the sales class where it's going to go to the proper place for financials. Typically, you might want to have a dollar value in it of 1/10 of 1 penny because we're going to apply the actual dollar value elsewhere. I'll show you that as we go along. It should be a non-inventory item. So you'll need a basic item set up. And then when you are on this option, we need to tell it what that item is. So this is a one-time thing, so it's not documented at the bottom, but if you press F7 and there's a key to it, and CDR will help you get this set up, of course. But this is where you identify the item number that's used as the installment charge item number that shows up. So that's one setup issue. The other thing is what we will do is we will set up scheduled entries on your system, at least 2 of them, and they are one for monthly charges and one for weekly charges. And if we look at one of these, I'll just show you kind of a default setting for it. So we're going to call a program that's going to apply a monthly charge, and here we have it set up to run monthly on the first day of the month at 7 a.m. Now all this stuff is configurable when we install on your system. So that would be a monthly charge, and then another one would be this weekly charge. So here we're passing in a W for weekly. We're saying this runs weekly on Monday mornings at 7 a.m. So anybody that's involved in that has that type of setup would get that charge levied at that point in time. So let's look at the installment plans themselves. That's the basic setup stuff. So let's set one up from scratch. I have a couple here for us to play with. Let's do a F10 to add a new one. It says, do you want to add a new record? I say, yes, I do. I'm going to grab a customer number. Just somebody. Let's take the little shortstop in Van Cleve. Give it a description. This description winds up being the item description for the charge that gets invoked in the billing. So you will see that. So you want to choose carefully what you give it for a description here, because that's what's going to show up on the invoice to the customer when they get billed out. You can give it an original amount. So let's say this one is $1,000. Let's say how many payments we're going to spread that over. Let's say it's well, let's say 5 just for fun. You can put an optional cost in if you want to cause it to wash out, or you can leave it without a cost. I'm going to put a cost in just for fun. You give it a date that you're actually going to start doing the billing. So I'll put the 1st of September. My interval is going to be weekly. My type, and this is just a loose way, a free-form way to categorize. So I'll say example. And you do that, press enter and confirm. And now what it's done is it's actually created the payment schedule that we're going to be using. So if I look at the details for that, you can see 5 payments broken across was $1,000 to begin with. And so that's the layout to it. If you want to run a printout at any point in time, so you can do all installments, ones that are already paid or ones that have a remaining balance. I'm going to choose all. just for example here, you can choose a weekly, monthly, or yearly. I'm going to leave that interval open. You can choose one or the other. If I want to do it for a particular customer, maybe they have multiple installment plans at the same time for various purposes, maybe inventory that you allowed them to buy because it's a new store and some equipment that was placed. So you can restrict to a single customer and get a comprehensive listing. You can also show anything where the original amount was greater than or equal to a dollar value. And you can do a summary version of it, which is a one-liner per. But I'm just going to leave it like this in default. I'm going to press F6. I'm going to go down. So I ran that report, and just to give you a glimpse of what that report would look like. So it's going to look like this. This is the most recent one I ran. The user data is payment plan. If I go to view that, so you'll just see what we have set up here. And I have the cost broken out for that one entry. And so there are my 3 entries in here. So let's make something happen. So let's go do an example of billing. So what I'm going to do is simulate that date went by, because I'm going to go to my scheduled job, and I'm just going to run one of them. So ordinarily, you would just wait for this to happen in the calendar, but for purposes of our example right now, I'm just going to run it. So I'm going to take the monthly billing, and I'm going to say, run that right now. I'm not going to wait till the first of the month. I'm going to run it on demand, which you typically would not need to do. And so that's run that. And so what that has done is, if I jump over to, to the billing system, and I look at work with remote orders, you see I have a bunch of errors in here. Looks like my process has already gone through because these are not things I did. So let's go and look at the order file itself and see what we can find. So I'm going to look for a little shortstop. There's an entry for that. That's not the one I want. Let's go back and look and just make sure what we have set up in here. I did a monthly, so I have one monthly, and that was, see, these are weeklies, that's why I didn't find anything. So I'm going to go look at the monthly entry for King's Grocery. So let's go look at that. Just jump over to the billing menu. Let's look for King's Grocery. And I see it on this system not configured to automatically do something. So let's just run and import to make sure. And now let's go check our results. All the processing through the remote order file is going to be contingent on how your actual system is configured to handle remote orders. So let's see if we have a King's Grocery now. Yeah, okay, there we go. So typically that will be set on some type of schedule to process every minute or two to look for orders and upload them. This test system's not set up that way, but let's look at what we did get when I forced it through. So now we have initial store stock order. So this is that item number that we set up, but of course the description has been overridden for the purposes here. And so the price is $1503.39. So that's the billing that was done. Let me get out of here and go back to where we were, and let's look at our setup as I back through things. Let me just jump to the menu, save hopping around. And so this is the entry that ran, and so now you can see the original dollar value for this one that we processed, because it was the monthly charge, $6,013.59. The remaining amount is this. If I look at my details, you'll see that each one of these, it breaks down into that value, and any additional that's left over, to even everything out at the end, falls into the last payment. You'll see that here, and it's indicating that now on the 1st of September, on this particular invoice, I billed that out, which is that invoice that we just saw. That's the basic mechanics to things. Now if I run my report again, just to show you how that would appear. I'm just going to run all and not say summary. And I'm going to jump down and look at my spooled out entries. And so now we should see King's Grocery. That installment has been billed today's date, that particular date. Its status is X, meaning that it has executed, it has taken place. So that's a quick overview of the new option for DAC called Retailer Installment Plans. Hope you enjoyed this session. Stay tuned for more. Thanks.